all the talk, all the preseason, the mini camps, the draft, all done. And week one is finally here. It's actually hard to believe, Bryce. We've just had such a crazy offseason with everything going on, starting back from the hire of Mike MacDonald, getting ready to see what this new regime's going to do, watching those preseason games, watching camp, everything leading up to this point, and we're finally here. I mean, opening night's tonight, but we're talking about our opening matchup against the Denver Broncos coming into Lumen Field this Sunday against Seattle Seahawks. This is our preview show, man. And what we're going to give you guys is key matchups to look out for. We're going to give you our top 3 matchups that we think that it's going to be, to look out for come Sunday. And then based off that, we're going to give you guys our keys to success, what we think based off these matchups and just the overall game, what the Seahawks need to do to come out with a victory. And then we're going to give you guys a final score. Each of us are going to give you guys what we think might be the final score come Sunday. All that on the other side, you're watching the Hawk Zone.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game.
Look at this run. What a run. Marshawn Lynch. Get off me.
DK.
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's John Schneider with the Seattle Seahawks.
And Washington's got away. Leon Wilson to catch. Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. The Seahawks are going to host the NFC Championship.
Every year, the NFL does.
Is it going to be another 9-8?
Mike MacDonald got to finish something.
They have to fix the offensive
Part of his
line.
success and part of
Ambition of being the LOB
Want to hear? That's trading DK Metcalf.
Play him aggressive.
This is the Hawk Zone Rundown with Ryan and Bryce.
All right, kicking things off, guys. Preview show week 1, Broncos, Seahawks. We're excited. Before we get into that, guys, if you've been watching the show, you haven't subbed yet, go down, hit the subscribe button for us, like button and notification button so you aren't going to miss any future episodes that are coming up. And like you guys have been hearing us talk about, we're going to be coming in live after every game as well. So it's going to be a live Q&A reaction from us after every Sunday. Bryce, what's going on, man? You excited? I bet you're excited. Week 1 is here, man. All that other stuff done. Time to get down to business.
Yeah, man. I'm like just chomping at the bit. Like tonight, I know we've got the opener with the Chiefs and that'll be fine to see real true football again. But this offseason's been long. Like you said,
Yeah.
Like we've been going through the Mike MacDonald hiring and this whole regime change, and it's just made everything seem a bit longer. And so like, I'm super excited for us finally to be back to playing football and seeing what this team that we're all so excited for is actually going to put out on the field.
Yeah, man, it has been long, but it's been interesting. It's been one of the more exciting off seasons, to say the least, right? I think everybody's pumped up. Listen to all the guys, man. Before we get into what we're going to get into, one point is you listen to the guys, every day in the pressers. It seems like a real confidence coming into this season. Like guys are ready to compete. There's high expectations on both sides of the ball. I just listened to Tyrell Dotson's press conference. Huge high expectations. He doesn't want to tell the media what his expectations are because he thinks people are going to laugh. But I really think it's genuine coming from these guys. Sometimes every year guys are going, yeah, we're going to compete. And, I think, we got a good team, good group of guys. But I really think, and a lot of it is from Mike MacDonald, they're praising this regime highly. And even though he hasn't stepped on the field for his first regular season game yet, it feels like guys have bought in and there's a high confidence level and guys realizing the talent that they have in that locker room, man. Are you finding that kind of same feeling when you're listening to the guys?
Yeah, no, I definitely am. Like it seems they've got a bit of a swagger to them again. They're not, just kind of going through the motions. I felt last year and maybe the last couple of years, like, yeah, they had some emotion, but nowhere near what you can see now with this team. And so I'm kind of interested to see how it all kind of comes together. It's going to be interesting, listening to DK talk yesterday. Dotson, Mike MacDonald, Gino today. It's very interesting to see how this team sounds. And you can tell the guys that have been around here for a bit with Pete are still taking some time and they're choosing their words carefully, like not to say, hey, like what we were going through the last couple of years wasn't great. But at the same time, they're going and saying, hey, look, like we're really excited for this new regime. There's, Mike MacDonald's this, the organization's doing this. Like there's a lot more excitement built into this week one than I think there's been probably in the last couple seasons.
Yeah, man, I agree with that 100%, man. Let's get right into it. Let's kick it off, man. This preview show, we got some matchups, man, that we want to look out for, right? Some key matchups. Just, if people don't know already, Sean Payton coming back again and naming Bo Nix the starter, right? First rookie week one starter for the Broncos since John Elway, man, back in 83. Pretty crazy, man. Obviously, confidence there with Sean and his guy. Going to be, obviously interesting because he did not like Russ the day he entered that building. So now he's got, his guy, names him the starter. Why don't we start there with that? That's one of the matchups, right? One of the key matchups. Bo Nix. Why don't you talk about the matchup here and what to expect?
So yeah, like you said, rookie quarterback coming into Seattle and Bo Nix. It's going to be interesting. Like I think Bo Nix is going to have a pretty successful rookie season. Honestly, with you, I think he's gonna do some special things for that team. But again, you're asking this dude to come in against the guy currently that's running the most complicated defensive scheme in the NFL that everyone's trying to mimic in some way. You're going into a stadium that generally has one of the, if not the largest crowd and loudest crowd, I should say, in the NFL. And you're going against a young team that's jacked up to play. So there's a lot of things working against Bo Nix as a starter in this game. Sean Payton, he's obviously coached up here before with the Saints, with Drew Brees and so on. And he's had some success here. They did win their last game that he did. His last game he coached up here with the Saints. They did beat Seattle. That was one of Gino's first starts the year Russ buggered up his finger. But it's kind of interesting. So I just want to kind of, we talk about the crowd and stuff. Like, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to the game, but I really want to hear the 12s again. Like I want to hear that roar and feel that roar. And when I was at the preseason game, you could start to feel it a bit. There was only about 65, 70% of the crowd capacity there, but you could feel it. And so like Aaron Levine from Q13 Fox put out a thing today saying the last 4 seasons where fans have been in the stands from 2019, obviously they weren't there for COVID, 2021 to 2023, the Seahawks record at home is 17-16. They're basically one game over 500, and their away record is 19-15. There hasn't been a home field advantage in Seattle for a while. And I think a lot of it is like we had talked about throughout the offseason, the, kind of redundancy of Pete Carroll and that whole regime. And I think that's the one key thing. Like this year and this new era is going to bring new energy back to that stadium. I think it's going to reinvigorate the fan base. And I think it's going to be really loud there. And I think to see Bo Nix handle that and how many false starts and having to go to a silent count and those things are really going to be an advantage. Now, there's the other side of that too, and we've talked about that, is how's the defense going to handle that? How is Mike MacDonald's defense, with all the communication they do, handle the noise?
Yeah, and I think you and I talked about that in the offseason, man, going back to maybe even the end of the regular season, that, coming into our house used to mean something. Like it used to mean something, and that just went away. That went away a few years ago. And like you said, I've been to a couple games within that time period where you were just like, there is absolutely no home field advantage here. Like it was bad, right? So getting back to that, I think you're going to get right back to that this Sunday. Like you said, you felt it in the preseason. People are going to be amped up. Everybody's excited. At expectations, I know when you and I talked about it at the beginning of the season, people were like, well, maybe 9 wins. As this offseason rolled along and as this team started to build and you could feel the buy-in, all of a sudden, a lot of guys that we've talked to are double-digit expectations and wins. And that is not just a blank number thrown out there. Like, I'm going to throw a dart here and hope it hits. This is educated, predicting, and an expectation that, no, we have real talent, both sides of the ball. And like you said, to touch on your point with Bo, you know what? He in college with his successful offensive line, he's done well. Denver, we're going to touch on this point. Actually, I really want to touch on your point with Mike MacDonald. The defense, the one thing, the actually biggest thing is they don't know what is going to hit them with Mike MacDonald's defense on Sunday, because first of all, everything you've seen in the preseason is vanilla. I mean, he really wasn't going to give away anything. So, and as versatile as Mike MacDonald is and has been in Baltimore and Michigan, all that kind of stuff, he's going to come out with some things on Sunday to showcase some things. So the element of surprise, first of all, you're dealing with a guy who's a genius defensive mind, but just that element of, I don't know what they're going to throw at us. I haven't seen this from this personnel. That's going to play a huge part as well. Coming into it, man. So although I agree with you with Bo, I think, he could be one of the guys that you look down the road 4 or 5 years in that quarterback class. He could potentially be the one guy that you're like, okay, maybe two. I'm high on Penix like you as well. Just I think he's in a good situation there. But so that's definitely a huge, obviously focal point, key matchup, man. What about key matchup number 2?
So key matchup number 2 is DK Metcalf versus Patrick Surtain.
Right.
Surtain just got paid a lot of money. He's the highest paid corner right now in the NFL. DK, obviously, he's been seeing the receiver contracts being signed. Ayuk, CeeDee Lamb, soon to be Jamar Chase. I predict probably pretty soon here is going to get his new deal. This is going to be interesting because I feel like this is the first time I can truly talk about a DK versus a top corner matchup because of who our offensive coordinator is now. We all believe he's going to use DK, get him the ball. And it's not going to be one of those like, we're talking about because it's a receiver corner match. Like, I truly think DK could go and have 11 targets in this game, catch 7 or 8 of them, and go for 120 yards potentially and maybe a couple scores. Like, I really think that's something that we're not going to be used to seeing, but something we're going to become accustomed to in this Ryan Grubb offense is DK becoming a focal point. And the thing is I don't think we're going to have to wait till the second quarter to see DK get his first target. I think DK is going to get his first target on the first drive of the game, whether it's play 3 or it's play 2. I think they're going to get DK involved really early, whether it's a hook, a screen, something. DK is going to get the ball early and often in this game, and I think we're going to see a different usage of DK Metcalf in the Seahawks offense.
I agree with that early and often, man. I think, I'd be surprised if you don't get targeted in the first drive. I got a question for you too, because, when you look at it too, and we talk about Ryan Grubb and his offense and moving all those chess pieces around. And that's the thing you talk about Surtain versus DK. Are you going to see Surtain following him around? Because I think that DK is going to be moving around the board, right? So is that one of those things where Surtain just sits out there, or because A, he's the highest paid corner, B, man, their secondary is rough. Like, they don't really have many names on that secondary. You talk about, you losing a big time guy in Simmons, right? Pretty much the QB of that D. And then you look on the other side, who do you got over there, right? So I mean, would you be surprised if he's not following DK around and that's just a matchup going to be going all game?
I honestly think, because I'm just looking at, the Denver Bronco depth chart right here, and it's their unofficial one. It's from September 4th. So a couple of days ago, you got Jaquan McMillan, who's your nickel cornerback, never really heard of. Riley Moss, who's the rookie guy they just drafted. You've got Pat Surtain, I should say. Levi Wallace backing him up, who's a journeyman. Their safety core is PJ Locke and Brandon Jones. Nobody in that secondary besides Surtain makes me go, exactly. Yeah, you've got someone that can match up with DK Metcalf. And this is the thing, we're talking about DK alone. You could throw JSN in this conversation. You can throw Tyler Lockett in this conversation. They don't have the bodies in that secondary talent-wise, I don't think, to match up with what Seattle is going to bring and in this Ryan Grubb scheme. And you listen to the guys talk, Gino, DK, we kept it pretty vanilla in the preseason. We didn't really do the stuff that we've been working on. that's for me where when I hear guys saying that we're keeping it vanilla, like, can you remember the last time you heard a DK or a Gino in the last couple seasons be like, yeah, we're keeping our offense pretty vanilla in the preseason? Like, never really heard that term, which for me instills a lot of confidence in the fact that we're going to see some stuff. And it's probably going to be like, I wouldn't be shocked on the first play or first drive of this game, I should say, we don't see some weird ass formation where we get a massive explosive play because Ryan Grubb's just, hey, this is something we've been working on. We were going to do this game one. This is it. We're letting it go. Here you go. This is something we're going to do this year.
Yeah, I know exactly. And no, I don't think I've heard vanilla from DK and those guys because, man, to be honest, like their whole offense is kind of been vanilla throughout the season, right? I mean, you knew where DK was going to line up. You didn't really know what the offense was going to bring just because you just didn't know week in, week out. But as far as what identity they even want to have. But I think, you're right. And I think that's what you are going to see a lot of is that, they don't have the horses to keep up with a confident JSN, a veteran Tyler Lockett who can still get it done. Listen to Tyler. He had a presser a couple days back and they were asking him, obviously because he had by numbers a down season. And he's just saying, listen, my number was called in certain situations and he's still confident that he can go out and get the job done too. So, let's not write him off. So here's another guy that is a super effective receiver and going to be a big part of this offense. So I'm excited to kind of see how the secondary can stop this passing attack. So that is definitely going to be a thing to watch. Surtain on DK, yeah, but like you said, if he has a little bit of success, well, then who's going to stop JSN? Who's going to stop Tyler? Who's going to stop Noah Fant? Get him going in the attack, right? We talked about how he's a receiving tight end, and he's definitely going to be involved in Grubb's plans, right? So you put all that together, and you get excited about that, man. Just a matchup as a whole, but talking about that and talking about an area where maybe Denver feels like they could have some success this season because, in the trenches, let's talk offensive line for a second with them. Since Payton's come in, man, they've invested more than any other position, that O-line, right? So obviously a nice starting point for a Bo Nix. Talk about the matchup there, obviously our D-line versus their O-line. And what do you see there, and how things can work out, be successful for us there?
Well, it's kind of interesting because, like you said, like they've spent a lot of money. Like I'm looking at it right now. You got Mike McGlinchey, who used to be a starter for the 49ers. You got Quinn Mirnez, who was a draft pick for them. They just paid a lot of money to. You've got Luke Wattenberg, who's a pretty decent center. You've got Ben Powers, who's a left guard. You got Garrett Bowles, who's been a pretty good left tackle in his NFL career. Like, they've got a pretty solid five. Now, the depth behind it is the question, again, kind of like us on our own situation. But the one thing you got to remember with a Sean Payton offense, he loves to use double tight. He loves his 12 personnel. Like, it's something that he's known for. And so it'll be interesting to see how Seattle uses their defensive line personnel. We've obviously got it revamped ourselves to play against this, because you're going to have like a Quinn Mirnez is a pretty stout athletic guard. And, how is he going to handle Byron Murphy and Jaron Reed? Now, the thing for Seattle that I'll say is they have the ability to go into the reserves and still create impact. Like, you've got Derek Hall, you've got Boy Mafe, you've got, obviously we don't have Chenna right now, but you've got Draymond Jones, who's been practicing all week. So you've got a lot of rotational pieces in there that are going to help create pressure. The big thing, and I think this is going to be the key, is Seattle, again, is going to have to stop the run. Like, that's what Sean Payton's going to come out and do. He's a very play-action-based play caller. He's going to want to help Bo Nix out with that kind of thing, get our linebackers to step up, slow down Mike MacDonald's pressures. But I don't look at this offense and I get afraid of it, because realistically, outside of, the O-line here, yeah, they've got some talented pieces, but nothing that makes me go, I'm terrified of it. Like, I'm not worried about it. So this O-line's a good O-line. I'd say they're probably a top 15 O-line in the NFL right now. But I think our D-line can definitely create havoc, but they have to stop the run first, and that's got to be the main priority for Sunday.
Yeah, like you said, because when you look at the rest of the offense, right, besides Sutton, I mean, again, they're really, really thin at that receiver spot too. So yeah, if you can stop the run, if our line can get some, some pressure up front and clog that middle. Plus, man, it would just be a breath of fresh air to see us. I don't care who it is, what team, just to come in, make a statement, stopping the run, right? The last 2 years, we know what it's been, right? Every Seattle Seahawks fan knows. If you've watched the games, any of the games, you know what that defense has been stopping the run, right? So just even if we come out and make a statement and start stuffing it, you're going to feel the confidence is just going to start building, because that's really got to be the number one concern in that offseason with Mike coming in saying, this is the big thing we have to fix. And based on some of the nice pieces, obviously Byron Murphy and we talked about this could be an identity. This could be one of our identities on this team as we keep building and keep adding. Like you mentioned, Derek Hall, coming into year 2 just looking like a monster. That's a guy to get excited about. So it's going to be interesting on that end. What about if we flip it here? And, obviously Denver had really, really poor defensive numbers last season, right? But, tried to add and beefed up that D-line a little bit, bringing in a couple veterans, and Jonah Ellis, rookie there as well. How do you see in that matchup, man? How you seeing that matchup with our O-line? Obviously, we have question marks on O-line, but optimistic as well. But we got to see these guys really come together and obviously play a game here. So, what do you see with that matchup, man?
There we go. Denver plays 3-4, right? They play a basic 3-4. They actually have Zach Allen, who, if you remember, when we signed Draymond Jones, Seattle mentioned they wanted to try and pair Zach Allen and Draymond Jones together in up here. Didn't work out. They've got DJ Jones. They've got John Franklin Myers. Like, they've got some good players, some journeyman guys that, are serviceable. They got, based on this depth chart, their starting linebacker core is Jonathan Cooper and Browning as your 2 outsides. And then Alex Singleton, who's an ex-CFL player. He's been good in the NFL. He's played for the Eagles and for the Broncos. And then you've got one of our old guys in Cody Barton, who's playing inside linebacker for Denver. So when I look at that front 7, there's not a single thing that terrifies me in that front 7. Like Zach Allen, yes, he may create pressure, but if he's coming off the edge where, he's going against Lincoln Tomlinson and Charles Cross, I'm not overly concerned. Like, I don't look at this and go like, oh, I'm circling Zach Allen as like he's going to be the difference in this game. The Denver defense is kind of just blah. Like, I don't look at it. Like, besides Allen and Surtain, there's no one on there that I kind of go, ooh, like they're going to cause a lot of problems. And so really, I think if Seattle comes out, kind of like we were saying with the defensive side, if Seattle comes out and runs the ball effectively, which I think Ryan Grubb's going to do, with Ken Walker and Charbonnet and Kenny Mack, they're going to have a lot of opportunities for a lot of clean pockets for Geno to throw the ball down the field and hit JSN on some of those over routes and seam routes and stuff. The biggest thing for me with Seattle's offensive line is the continuity. Honestly, it all depends kind of on if Connor Williams is starting or if it's Olu, who's going to be that starting center. And then I think what you may see with Christian Haynes is I think you may see kind of what we've seen in Seattle some years is a rotation. Like Bradford may get a drive or two, and then Haynes comes in for a drive or two. The one area that I'm concerned with is what do they do if George Fant gets an injury or something? Knock on wood, obviously, that doesn't happen, but he was nicked up through practice. It sounded like, I think Greg Bell posted that he had missed the first kind of day of practice this week. He isn't on the injury report, so that's a positive. But is it Mike Jarrell that starts behind George Fant, or is it Stone Forsythe that comes over? Like, who is it in that situation, that swing tackle role? Do we have a swing tackle, or is it a key right backup and left backup? Personally, for me, I think it would be Stone Forsythe, most experience. But that's just the only concern I have is, how does George Fant hold up now that he's going to be another starter for, a good chunk of the starting season. So other than that, though, man, like I look at this, our O-line and D-line matching up against Denver, and I think it's a very early season favorable matchup to get our wheels going and get this group kind of working all together.
Yeah, I agree. And especially that O-line. I think there's just more question marks, like you said, and Abe Lucas being out and Connor Williams not sure if he's going to start. Those are two of your biggest pieces. I mean, you got Charles Cross there too, but so there's two potential starters that aren't even going to play. So just to get, what you have to come together in that first week is huge. And that D-line, I think that the D-line is going to come together a little quicker. I just think you got just so many dogs out there that I with experience that I'm just excited to see. I'm excited to see them just the thing is like, how is Mike just going to attack Bo? He's going to want to put pressure on him early. And what is he? And like you said, there's just so many unknowns. We haven't seen anything. So this Sunday, it just excites you with that matchup alone. As far as the pressure is concerned, going after Knicks, man. So real quick, man, let's get some keys then. I know we've talked about matchups, but for people to just see, okay, let's get the first win under our belt, man, from Mike, getting 1-0 here. What's one of the keys for you that you're going to look for here?
Key for me, time of possession for our offense. That's one thing I want to see is time of possession. I want us to dominate that this year. It starts this week with Ryan Grubb and his offense, and something he was very good at UW. Time of possession. I don't want to see us with a lower time of possession than the Denver Broncos. I want to see us eat clock. I want drives that are 6-7 minutes long and 10 to 15 plays. And with that being said, time of possession, finishing with touchdowns, not field goals. That's something that killed us last year in a few of those games. That's my first key of the game is time of possession and finishing drives.
And Grubb's got a history of finishing drives, right? So that's what, you talk about and you're probably thinking about that is that, we so many times we just settle for field goals, whereas Grubb just seems to have a knack to get it in the end zone and finish it off. So that's huge, man. You know what? My key is really, when we just talked about Trent, but just getting after Bo Nix, putting pressure on him early, often, but more importantly, early. Like, don't let him settle in and get him, the last thing you want is to get him a little comfortable where he's coming into Lumen, a place like you and I talked about. Let's get our identity back, first of all, right? Like, we have had no identity the last 4 or 5 years at Lumen Field, right? So now it's time to get the identity back. 12s are going to be going crazy. Let's keep them going crazy the whole game. And how you do that is not let Bo get comfortable. Bring the pressure, get this kid off running around for his life, throw some sacks in there, whatever, but just get him not knowing what the hell is happening out there, man. So that to me is a huge key, because if we can do that, man, he's just really not going to do anything. And then, like you said, we take care of that other key that you just mentioned with finishing drives and time of possession. That I agree, man. It's going to be a nice thing to see if we can control the game in that aspect. But yeah, man, give me one more key here.
My other key for this game, I think, has got to be the fans have got to come back. We've got to be loud. The fans have to be a part of this. We talk about with the 12s and with this massive fan base and that, we've kind of fallen silent over the last few years. And I've been to games. I'm going to a few this year. I want to feel that, where you feel like your heart's going to skip a beat because of the noise that's going on in there. Like, be loud. Like you were talking about, that's going to help Mike MacDonald's defense get after Bo Nix, is him not being able to relay any protection calls or any sort of sight adjustments for routes or anything like that. We got to be loud. You got to make him feel it from the start of that game to when the final whistle blows. We have to be on it the entire time.
Yeah, we got to get it. Yeah, exactly. Like you said, man, the 12s, I mean, there's people around the league that think, man, that's kind of a corny, nickname, 12s. But it's not when it means something, right? When you start leading the league in false starts in your house, obviously the opposing teams that are coming in. And then it's like, okay, it means something. But like you said, and I'm not going to put it all on the fans, because I'm also going to say, look, we need a reason to be loud for the whole game. You know,
Agreed.
like you said, you threw that number out, right? That win-loss record. And you look at that and say, okay, there's a reason why this place is, you know, it's never a quiet place, but just the energy is just not the where it used to be. And I think it's going to go hand in hand. I think that Mike MacDonald and this team's going to give the 12s a reason to stay up on their feet the whole time on defense and get loud and just bring it like old times. And that, like you said, huge key. Just another thing that Bo's, you know, you can put all the loudspeakers you want. And that was the thing back in the day, man. We got to prepare for Seattle. We're going into Seattle. Like, man, we've done everything we can. We got this going on. The speakers are trying to make us, you know, maybe, I don't know if it was like that the last few years, but bring it back. I agree. Identity again. And let's that's the biggest thing this year too. At the end of the year, Lumen's a place where you just don't want to come back to if you're an opposing team. So, man, those are keys to the game, matchups. I'm pumped, man. I'm excited for this game, man. So we got to get down to biz with a final score. I'm going to let you go first with a prediction of final score here with all the matchups we talked about, all the keys. So give it to me, man. What do you got here? Week 1, Broncos, Hawks.
I think Seattle wins 27-13. That's my prediction. I think it's close to start. Everyone gets their bearings, and I think then you start to see Seattle just pull away.
Okay, so you got Bo Nix going what, TD and a couple of field goals?
Yeah, TD, a couple field goals. I got Geno. I think Geno maybe has 2 passing touchdowns, maybe 250 yards through the air with about a 68% completion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ken Walker goes for over 100.
I like it, man. I'm really close to you. And I'm not just throwing this out here. I was thinking about this and looking at this before we came on here. I got 28-15 Hawks. So I'm close. I'm right there with you with the offense. And I just got Denver kicking field goals. So I think that they're going to put some drives together. I think they're going to get in range. And I think they're going to settle, man. And, we'll see. But regardless, we both got them winning here, man. I think, they're the favorites. I just think that it would be a big upset if Denver came in with a rookie QB and came into our house and upset us. So that's what I got. I agree, man. I think the Hawks are going to pull away. I'm excited to see what Grubb's going to do. Both sides of the football. Just for anybody, the fans, man, it's just on both sides. It's unknown. You know what I mean? It's not like in previous years, it's like, okay, you could have a new defensive coordinator. So how's that going to look? But the offense is the same. And like we said, we have the same players. And that's the crazy thing. We've had guys on the show. We've talked about that. Everyone agrees. You have the exact same guys coming back on offense, but the potential to look completely different. And that's a testament to the talent on this team, and B, how misused it was in previous seasons. Right. So I think everyone recognized the skill we've had on offense, and that wasn't a secret. And I think a lot of people are predicting big years from Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, and obviously and JSN I'm excited about too. Like you said, Ken Walker run the football. So, and then everybody else in between, man. So I'm just I'm pumped. You're pumped. We both got the Hawks winning, man. So yeah, that's it. That's the preview show, guys. Get ready to go. Football's here, man.
It's
first
back.
Game starts in under an hour, so we're ready to roll. Guys, like we said, we're coming at you live post game. So check us out. Anybody that hasn't subbed yet, go down, hit the sub, and hit the notification, because if you do that, then you get notified when we're live on air, and then you come on. We're going to do the same thing we've done in previous shows, Q&As, talk about the game, reaction, and then Q&A time. So it should be a lot of fun. So, yeah, man, that's it tonight. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.